A warm welcome to all our viewers to our series Natural Medicine. Today I have a very special expert here in the field of relationships and also the subject of how the body happily shows us this through one or another ailment, our specialist doctor for 37 years, Dr. Beate Strittmatter, and she will explain today what it is like when you are repeatedly criticised in a relationship. And when the man or woman keeps doing the same thing over and over again, tries to put you down or pushes you around over and over again. And today, I am very happy that she's here with her extensive knowledge, and I am looking forward to the case study she brought today. Hello, dear Beate. Hello. I'm so excited about your work, especially about the fact that you haven't given up to find a cause of pain. And there is more to it, when you can now illustrate this complex topic so well after these many years in our episodes through case studies. And that's really what takes the viewer away, because in each of your stories, they are getting to know themselves a little better. On the last shoot, you asked me I do pain therapy. How did I get to the topic of partnerships in the first place? I have a private practice and I didn't choose it because of the money. I founded it 31 years ago. I was naive then, young, had very young children, and the husband brought home no money or not a lot of money. As a doctor on an internship, I get paid for one thing, that I make people pain-free. Of course, that has changed and word has got round. There are also nature-identical hormones and so on and so forth. And back when I started that, the word private practice did not exist, but I knew I needed time. Everyone who comes for the first time has a full hour, and each follow-up session is half an hour. And sometimes that is not enough, but how did I get to it? I have seen, if you look at it as an energy barrel like this, this is the barrel with our energy. You now have enough energy. And here are topics that might be bothering you, but you have enough energy, you are healthy. That's all covered and balanced. But woe, if there's a hole somewhere which is constantly draining your energy, then this level sinks. And then the glitches really come out. For example, a scar may disturb or the mental state, and so on and so forth. And I had to think about where people are losing energy. That was actually the reason. And now I'm telling this exciting story, which happened 2 weeks ago. Yes, a couple came to me, and actually because of this show. I sometimes wonder, they sometimes drive for hours to get to me. Of course, there's also high pressure then. Something has to happen, but I'll just let myself get into it and the patients will tell me what's really going on. So these two come and she raves about the relationship. And I speak to him and he immediately complains about her, and actually he wants to separate. But you asked them separately. Of course, what did you think? I just wanted to make sure. When I talk to children, I send the parents out. Yes, of course. I can't do it with the partner. I had no idea that they had absolutely no idea what they thought of each other. I stood in the hallway, she was here, he was there, and I thought to myself, I have a duty of confidentiality. What are you doing now? Okay, he tells me. She would have said to him, he's a mummy's boy. Because he goes to his mother's. Later it turned out that he also spends hours there, mowing the lawn and gardening. And she would have told him by now we could hire someone, but he says we won't find anyone anyway. Not that it was about the money, they're Swabians, and Swabians are thrifty people. You may have heard that before. There are no gardeners there. No, Swabians. Well, there are jokes about every state. Swabians are the thrifty. home builders. Incidentally, Stuttgart is also in Swabia. Yes, I know. I ask him, what's bothering you? And then he says, well, she wants surf lessons. And then I ask, do you want to surf? And then she doesn't say anything. So that's actually disrespectful. But she tells me he's the best surf instructor ever and it all works really well. He tells me, listen to this, he tells me that it happened on a plane on a vacation trip, that she slept. And then the drinks came and he would have thought, well, she's sleeping and I better not put a drink on the table like that. I also want to sleep, and we still had water with her and you could still get water, so he didn't order anything for her. She wakes up, that's his description, it turns out. It wasn't quite like that. She wakes up and sees that he has not ordered anything. That's what he tells me, and immediately starts screaming and putting him down. I think, for God's sake, what kind of dominatrix is that? Well, and then one evening I was supposed to call her. We had agreed on nature-identical hormones, so she can't drive 4 hours just for them. A call is enough. And then I realised, come on, let her talk. It was Saturday evening and I was thinking, let her talk. And what came out of it is this story. She complains and complains, and she tells me that this airplane story was very different. If I have to clear my throat, I ate too much black chocolate again, developed an intolerance or something, you have to find out in practice. But none of that applies to me, except I have to make strange noises now. It was very different, she says. I closed my eyes a little on the plane, and then I was looking forward to the meal, because it was just about to be served. And then I open my eyes and think, strange, the noise is moving away from us. It wasn't the water, it was the meal. Corina, what would you expect when you're on a plane as a couple and you have your eyes closed? Wouldn't your partner say, listen, honey, do you want to eat or do you prefer to sleep? That would be care. What did he do? He didn't order food, and then that's a different story. But on the way back, they actually talked about him telling me the need to tell me, and he evidently felt the need to tell me. And the fact he only told half of it allows conclusions to be drawn. So now we come to the real topic. They live together and he goes grocery shopping, she says to me. He goes shopping every Saturday and she is horrified about it. He only buys for himself. Just for himself. He brings products home just for himself. Okay? She then goes shopping. She shops for both of them. And she doesn't eat pineapple. She assumes he knows that. She's said it before. And she buys him an organic pineapple. And she also tells him, this organic pineapple is for you. The organic pineapple is still in the fridge after a week and is slowly going off. She asks him, didn't you want to eat it? And then he says, why? That was your pineapple. And she starts crying heartbreakingly on the phone. He had pushed her button, not listening, not remembering, not taking her seriously. And she's crying on the phone. And we go in partnerships to heal. We then get to the point, what would actually be the healing impulse for her. In a relationship at the beginning, we fall in love. He does more things. He doesn't give her any space in this relationship. He's busy on Monday, on Tuesdays he has this, on Wednesdays he has that, on Thursdays this, and on Fridays is that, and on Sundays he's with his mother. On Saturday mornings they could possibly eat together, but she'll have to do the shopping. She complains about him that he'll say no, forget it, doesn't work, forget it. But she tells me what she is telling him. I told him right away, forget it. She doesn't even notice that she's using the same thing. Now, of course, you can practice behaviour in a partnership. You put the two of them there, and then you tell him, please leave that, and you put her there, and you say, that might not be so bad, that's just the pineapple. All nonsense. You have to go much deeper. Why did she, as Harville Hendricks says, Select the man with greater accuracy than an American cruise missile. The man who doesn't give her space, who doesn't remember what she needs, what she wants, who she is, and who doesn't listen to her, who apparently doesn't even notice her. Relationship, partnership as a way to wholeness. That's what Harville Hendrix says. Partnership as a path to the whole. But that's not a wholeness. What is that? I ended up in the shit here. I say to her, do you still love him? And then she says, yes, actually yes. They love each other, but they are so caught up in each other. They cut off the air through the old buttons that are being pressed. But what is it with her? I've wondered for a long time what Harville Hendrix means by partnership as a way to wholeness. So partnership is a way to healing. Most of the time you just take someone who just can't do that, give you the healing. He sees it that way, and I can understand that by now, if you re-experience something in a partnership that you have experienced badly in the past, someone will listen to you. You are there for someone. Someone gives you a place. But why do you commit yourself in the majority of cases to a partner who just can't, especially he can't? And he realises that he has a weakness there, because both have to heal, and that makes it twice as complicated. It really makes it twice as complicated. This wasn't known in the past. You didn't know that. You suffered quietly. You endured. I'm here in the laundry room, I had already said, so that the sound will be better. And if you look here behind me is an old dress. It's from my grandma. The dress is 110 years old. Wow! And the silk is already breaking here. You can see the silk breaking open there. Here, if I put my finger in, then the silk breaks open. I mustn't pull on it at all, otherwise it'll be broken. That's the ravages of time. I only knew my grandma. Oh, now we didn't understand you. I only knew my grandma when I was still little, but I only saw my grandma complain. Complaint. They didn't have this knowledge back then. Otherwise, she might have had a look at herself. And therefore, folks, I am telling you now, do not complain, but take advantage of the opportunities that are there now. There used to be these cast iron marriages. People say that everything was better in the past. Couples stayed together longer. Yes, they didn't get away from each other either. They suffered quietly. Another patient also said last week, my wife, she's always right. Before that, they proudly told me they even came from Austria. Came 1,000 kilometres with border restrictions and whatnot. They came because they saw me here. Well, with us, you have to wait a few months for an appointment, but still. And they both proudly tell me, what was it again? We've been married for 40 years. Then I spoke to him alone. I talked to him alone in the room, and he has asthma. And there you see, Corina, the composition. He was a carpenter dust, not a mask. No one knew that back then. It would have been better to have had a corona mask back then. Then he worked in the casino and smoking was allowed. Up until 2 years ago, people apparently smoked in Austria. The lungs are completely damaged. It's an occupational disease. He can't breathe and his wife takes his breath away too. As a brief insertion here to the case, because it explains further, he has a scar on the chin. It interrupts this meridian that runs through the lungs. A scar on the inside from a dental operation and a scar on the back in exactly the same meridian. I put a needle over the ears, plus I ask about his wife. And the point of self-assertion becomes active on the ear. You can have a look. Point of self-assertion. You absolutely have to look. Note on aggression. That's here in the book. Don't forget it belongs on your toilet. On page 60, note on positive aggression. How do I take my place? And then he says to me, my wife, she's always right anyway. You can't argue with her. And she proudly tells me they have been together 40 years. So what is it with you? I put this needle for him. Then they both sit back at the table and we do the meeting. And his wife says, it can't be. My husband says he's breathing all the way down through here. And he could breathe deeply. And there you see, Corina, it is made up of an interference field and obstruction for the lungs plus the dust. and I can now breathe deeply towards my wife. I am curious what they will tell me about their relationship when they come back. Do you understand that? It all goes together, and if you have a backpack and there are stones in it, up to a point you can just carry it, and now it's off to the mountains. You pack to the limit, and now someone is putting sandwiches in on top. Then the backpack will be too heavy, so it always makes sense to get it all out. So she takes his breath away, and interestingly, he also had rosacea on his nose. It ebbed away, so it was healing. Well, the red wasn't there anymore. I was stunned. Energy congestion. Then you can get a red nose and rosacea there too. May I again ask briefly about your first example? I'll come back to it now. I'll come back to the first example. That only occurred to me because someone did not have the air to breathe, and because of the combination of scar disturbance field, air to breathe, that despite having COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, so asthma in this case, with the actual physical changes in the lungs so that he could suddenly breathe deeply, you sit there and think after so many years. We learn that quite differently. COPD, you have the diagnosis, then that's it. You take your theophylline, then your sympathomimetics, and then maybe when the going gets tough, you take cortisone. He also had cortisone spray, and suddenly he can breathe deeply. Now, let's get back to the young woman who was on the phone. We talked and talked and talked, complained, and he does that, and he does that, and he does that, and when she cried, I say, one goes into partnership as a path to healing. What would it be for you? The healing impulse. Suddenly she becomes very quiet. And then she says, I want my place, I want to be seen. Then I say, yes, write that down. Everything you told me now. That was exactly that. You are not seen by your partner. You don't get any space. He only shops for himself. He has no time for you during the week. So that's your topic, right? Why don't you talk to him? Tell him it would be wonderful. It would be wonderful if you could give me a place. Then I'd be able to heal. And he has a handicap. If he can't do that, he suffers just as much. If you can listen to her and they have dialogues, they actually have dialogues. I point this out to you, the dialogues. One moment, good rituals. I think it's page 195. Dialogues according to Mueller. A quality instrument in partnership, page 195, the dialogues. This book should always be on your toilet. And they made 2 dialogues. 15 minutes you, 15 minutes me, always from the first person perspective. So, if you have your pineapple, what do I know? If you shop alone on Saturday, and you only shop for yourself, then I feel not present, not seen, not loved, completely unnecessary. It transports me to my childhood, and I wasn't seen there either. Once you understand that the subject of the partner's misconduct has to do with your own old wounds, there goes the partner you actually love. They walk past you and tear that thin skin off an old wound. And you stand there and you're in pain, and it is like before. And suddenly you are the little child and you are helpless, and you are transported back into the emotional world of the small child. When we were on the subject, what is your healing impulse? Then I noticed how she breathed deeply. Then I noticed how she drew hope, and that, if you can ask like that, I have this book, I'll show you a nicer version now, because mine is so worn out, but I don't have a nicer one right now. I had to glue it a bit here. I also go to medical congresses and for therapists, such as for you, Corina. There are simple types of questions here, and I understood that. Since I am a teacher, I have that deep in my genes. We are 5 children, 4 are teachers in their professions, no one is in school, thank God. I would not bear what the teachers have to endure. one can take this systematically. Okay, what is it? Is it the mirror? Does the other annoy you because they show you something that you are not? Is it the sound of childhood? Very often the sound of childhood, and here it is the sound of childhood. And the thing is, you're allowed to heal. You can heal, but you have to think it is possible. You really have to think it is possible that the misconduct of the other one actually had to do with your subjects and that it made sense. If I ask someone, are you married? And they tell me, yes, I am divorced, it did not fit. Now, it's getting interesting. What didn't fit? Oh, it just didn't fit. Okay, if people have been together since they were 15, you don't need to question that. I mean, between 15 and 25, there is so much development there that you don't even need to look closely. But when people really love each other, and they met when they were 25, for example, or when they were 30, or when things repeat themselves, tell me what went wrong. He's gone now, but that's not important. But it is. Do you want this to happen again? It already happened again, twice. Okay? Do we want to take a look? And then you don't look what the other one did, but what bothered me the most? What were the crucial points? What was that? When it broke inside you. Where did the partner stamp with their dirty soldier boots in the innermost box that you two had together? All partnerships have an intimate box. The intimacies are there, not what happens in bed, but what one has entrusted to the other. You can't touch that, not in an argument. Or which things did they keep doing over and over again? They do it all the time. That was it now. What does he keep doing and what does it do to you? Where does that catapult you? What annoys you about it? You'll have that answer in half an hour. You don't need to look for 3 hours. What was your childhood like? Who was to blame? May I ask you about the couple, because I am, of course, interested in why the man did this subconsciously. I heard about his mother earlier, that of course he helped her a lot. Could it be that his mother did not appreciate him in his childhood, and he therefore looked for a woman who will keep him small and says he's not good enough? So if he then resolves the trauma with his mum, then he can endure a woman who says, "Hey honey, you did well." He also subconsciously created this whip, so to speak, in his life. Cool, Corina. Do we want to work together? I know. Well, I have the man-saviour subject. That's why I always go there. Okay. I had. But look, I completely forgot to mention one thing about the couple. She is a coach and she is a therapist. And she kept pointing out to him, look here and look there. Attention to everyone who is watching. If you are a coach, if you are a therapist, hands off the relationship, hands off your partner. Your partner doesn't want to be taught. Your partner doesn't want to be told from above. Yes, but look here and this and there. You also drink too much alcohol. Leave your partner alone. Please look at your topics. Put on blinkers. And about the saviour subject, that's another topic. How much time do I have left? How much time do we have left? Maybe the time is up already. Yes, I think exactly. Well, but with you it's always exciting. We'll pick that up again in the next episode. Exactly, we'll do that. Thank you, dear Beate. We'll stay tuned. See you soon in any case. Nice that you were here. Yes, thanks. Dear viewers, you can see that with Dr. Beate Strittmatter, it is always interesting and exciting to get into the depths. And the really nice thing is that we are responsible for ourselves in self-reflection, to really look for the topics with us. And I think that this is also the key for your own path in life, in order to get through life healthy and happy. If you would like to see more interesting interviews with our guests, please go to QS24.tv, and there you will find all further interviews on this, including the contact details. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye!